Kids, aloha. Well, I left last time with smoking cigarettes. Now I want to just bring up something that I find interesting. It's an interesting topic. It's what we call, well, people call it pot, weed. The growers that I was living with said, "You say that again, you're not going to get any." I said, "Oh, okay, what do you call it?" They, sacrament. Oh, really? Sacrament? Is that what you call it? Yeah, I never called it that. I just passed the pipe around, I suppose. What I'm saying is, there's a couple ways of always looking at things. The Indians look at it entirely different, I believe, than the growers and maybe the kids, you kids out there that are partaking in this medicine. I'll go with medicine for now because that's what everybody's calling it. So, I don't want to. I know it's a touchy topic, and you know how I feel. I don't want to ever go to a touchy topic, and well, I hope I don't hurt anybody's feelings. Is all I'm saying. From my understanding, the Indians that I spent time with, which is quite a few different tribes, I'm not going to go there now. There's a sacred ceremony that they have with the red pipe, peace pipe that goes around. All right. The deal is the head guy, he has a fire. He lights. It's a red stone pipe, and I believe it comes out of Southwest Minnesota. For centuries and centuries, Indians have gone thousands of miles to get their pipe from there, all right? So what it comes down to is it's a peace pipe. The real peace pipe is so long that one person can't light it, first of all. That's why it's peace. Somebody else has to light it. I guess it might be a greedy thing, too, so nobody can see that. So it's so long that it takes another person to light the pipe. Second thing is there's 3 puffs. One to the zenith. That's for the past year of good fortune, born of fortuna. The second puff, the next puff is down the ground to Mother Earth. The third exhale to the sun, the Great Spirit, which is the one source, by the way. Like all major religions have, this is the one source. They call it the Great Father. And then it's passed around. And that is the ceremony for the sacred smoke that they call it. I guess it could be tobacco or whatever, but a lot of them do use the herb that we are all calling medicine. The other thing is the sacred stuff they use are mushrooms and peyote. Again, there's the law, and the spirit of the law. I think the law now is I don't think you can have peyote or mushrooms, can you? I don't know. Man delights in making laws. Man delights more in breaking them. I don't know how many times I've gone over that with you. Anonymous said that. I wonder why he was anonymous. So we got these things going on now where I have heard where definitely the white man and probably some Indians that have been ripped away from their culture are putting it in like blenders with peanut butter, and then drinking it, getting their. Usually they get sick because they're not, first of all, even trying to see how the spirit of the law is working with the Indian understanding, which I happen to. I believe I understand it. Maybe somebody can write me a note if they feel that I'm putting it across incorrectly. I'm going just a little bitty bit into the desert when I was dealing with, we're going to call him Miguel, because he was an Indian, Miguel, and I won't go any further because there are no shamans. I can't go there again. The first thing we went through was a trail of cholla cactus for a quarter of a mile. And this cholla cactus has been up for like hundreds of years because they're like over 6 foot. And anybody knows about jumping cactus, they don't jump at you. They roll off and they end up rolling into you, and they stick into you, and you go in to grab them, and then they're in your hand, and you try to get rid of it, and then they're in your hand, and then all the needles are still in you. And that's why you get a stick. If that ever happens to anybody, I'll give a fast secret. Never touch it with your hands, these jumping cactus, first of all. Get a stick, any stick, and then you can at least knock it off. And then from there, you're going to have a bunch of needles stuck in wherever your leg, foot. I've had it in my pups and dogs before, and I didn't know about, well, I forgot about it. The needles are hollow, so you've got to find scissors. Keep them in until, get scissors, and then you cut the outside of it, and since they're hollow, they'll come right out so much easier than when they're in there. It's like a vacuum. It's like try it without cutting them with scissors, and try it with. That's all I'm going to say. I'll leave it at that. We have a trail that this Miguel says we got to go. And by the way, I have 5 squaws, a 6 squaw, 5 squaws, and 2 braves. And by the way, I can already feel it. I said, yeah, squaws and brave. By the way, ask any Indian that's part of the culture that they've been really brought up with. And I'll tell you what, whoever's screaming about, don't call somebody a squaw, don't call somebody a brave. Well, maybe if they're not Indian, I would say, no, you probably shouldn't. But you ask any female Indian, do you mind being called a squaw? If she's been brought up with the culture, nah, it's okay. And the guys is it okay if you're a brave? If they've been brought up the culture, they'll say, no, it's actually a compliment. Both are compliments to these people. See, our white man's thoughts are like off the wall sometimes. Boy, I wanted to just get that out there because, okay, so the squaws would carry the blanket and the mushrooms. And they had a bell around their left foot. It kept everybody in pace, by the way. Well, by the way, if you're going to do the peyote spiritually, you do a whole day fast. Nothing. You can have a little water. No food for 24 hours, first of all. That's the first thing. The second thing is you get a button maybe that big. And I would suggest you take out all the middle part because it's called strychnine. And if you look at all the Indians with more experience, a lot of them are blind. And I asked one fellow one time, I said, you know, I'm meticulous at taking all this stuff out. I'm seeing them just popping buttons. I'm saying, hey, man, don't you know about the strychnine and go to your retina and you can't see it? He says, these eyes, that's the eye. This eye. This is the eye you want to look through. Everything. You look at everything through this eye. So, that's an interesting concept. That's interesting, isn't it? The trail he brought us through was literally, I'm going to say, the size of a hoof of a cow or a horse, wild Mustang. That was the trail we took. And I had moccasins. My brother, he came by. He knew I was barefoot, so he said, "Hey, you know what? Why don't you put these moccasins on? I made them for you." I said, "Oh, appreciate that, bro." So I'm now with moccasins with the guys, the gals, and the girls are in front, and the footprints literally that big. That your foot can go exactly that much on a hoof print. So there was no leeway. This is through a cholla patch that has nothing but jumping chollas. That was because the horses and cows would squash them down after a while, and you could actually walk on them without getting stuck. Well, this gal in front of me, I guess she was barefoot. The other gals had the moccasins on, and she kept getting stuck, and I just kind of hurt my heart. So I said, "Hey, hold on a second." I took my moccasins off. Excuse me, gave them to her. Now I'm getting stuck. So Miguel's behind me. Okay, the other Miguel Jr. is leading the way. The other girls are in the middle. I'm after the last one, and now Miguel's holding up the hind end. Now he sees, I guess what I did, but he sees me. I'm getting stuck. I'm keep pulling these doggone cholla cactus out of my feet. And finally, about after the 7th, 11th time here, he says, "Hey, I turned around and said, I apologize for being so slow." And he says, no. He says, "No, it's okay." He says, "There's another way of looking at it." He says, "Instead of looking," he says, "you're looking like magnifying glass. You're looking like a magnifying glass. Instead of looking like that, look straight ahead. Look straight ahead and use your inner eye. This eye. This eye. This eye. So use that eye. Give it a... Oh, by the way, I'm sucking on a peyote button. And then you bite into it, and then the juice is going like that. You don't just chew it up, by the way. It's a sacred thing, all right? This is what I'm thinking. The spirit of the law and the law of the white man or whoever's gobbling these things down, all right? There's always two ways of looking at it, all right? So now I'm looking at that concept now. I'm walking through the rest of the Troya cactus patch. I'm not even getting stuck. Maybe it's just a coincidence. And then later on, I asked the other Miguel, I said, this is like way later, I said, why did we, because where we have to go, the cave is way over that way, and we're like a mile and a half that way. What's going on? And he said, that's called psychic acupuncture. I guess that was funny to him too. He laughed. I didn't think it was too funny. And so it was getting dark. It was getting dark now. And it was a full moon that night. But all the cloud cover coming over, it got really dark fast. Now what Miguel Sr. said is, I want all of you to do this. It was like a test or something. He said, we're all going to go back up to the cave, the sacred cave, which I didn't bring up yet, and we have to, but I had to go through this for the smoking part and how that all works in on so many levels. I hear what he has to say. He says, I want you all to look for a lava rock, and the lava rock has a hole. It has a hole in it this big. And when you put your finger, you'll probably find one, or probably a bunch of them, but when you put your finger in around it, it can't have any indentations. It has to be perfectly smooth. Everybody says, yeah, okay, well, we'll do that. Everybody took off in their own directions. I think I went back a ways a little bit, and then I took off that way. About a mile and a half or so, I'm saying. I mean, you see the moon coming through a little bit, but then it gets really dark, and then I had already been up to this particular cave 3 or 4 times already, so I knew it had to be somewhere up there, but it was pitch black now, and so at that point, when I said these words out loud, I said, "Oh no. I'm lost." The clouds open up. The full moon is visible. The rays are coming down this way. There's a chaparral bush about 10, 11 feet right in front of me. And under the chaparral bush is this rock. It's a pyramid rock. Sort of like that, I guess it was. Right under the chaparral bush. And then after that, I look, and there off to the side is the mountain with the cave that I have to go to. I've got to stop this for 1 second because I got to show you the rock that I found. And when we got to the cave, his eyes, well, I gotta stop. I promise I'll